Okay, so someone sent me this. They said, hey, you were doing a reaction to Rich's videos, let's go through this one. And I haven't listened to it. I don't remember it particularly. I know I've skimmed through his channel, and I'm just going to do a reaction to him. That's all. No harm, no foul. Because some of this bullshit it's just got to be exposed. It has to be exposed. Got to be.
Family.
Rich always starts out.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rich Prater. I'll be your host today. We're on episode 20. We're going to do questions and answers today. With us today, we have Tara, as always. And what we'd like to do today is you can see at the bottom of the screen where I actually have the address to actually come into the podcast and talk with us. So we very much like that. We would really like for people to come in and talk with us live. We do ask that you be respectful, especially to Darlie Lynn and to Darlie Lynn's family.
He always says that, especially to Darlie Lynn and Darlie Lynn's family. He always starts with that, which is cool. I mean, that's what he wants, so that's cool.
And let's get it on. Let's go ahead and get started here. And Tara, were you back with me?
I'm back with you. Hi, everyone.
And so, Tara, I was telling the folks today that we're going to do answers and questions, like we said, at the end of episode 19. And at the bottom of the screen is the actual StreamYard address, if you will, for you to be able to come right in and talk with me and Tara. And we welcome anybody to do that. Again, we ask that you're respectful and that you're respectful to Darlie Lynn and her family.
Respectful.
Other than that, we get it going here.
Darlie Lynn and her family.
First off, I wanted to point something out, and then I'm going to leave it be. Recently, I've taken a little bit of slack for doing a podcast some weeks ago with BryanSt.John.
That'll be me.
And I'm very well aware of the history with BryanSt.John on the case. And
I don't know if you are actually aware. You actually know what they told you.
And I can totally understand with some of it why Darlie Lynn and her family might not be much of a fan. Okay, to say it lightly.
Well, why wouldn't they be a fan? Why would they, let's discuss this. So I'm gonna let him talk. Let's see what's going on here.
But I just want to explain quickly the reason why I did it. I was very skeptical for a long time about having Bryan come in. It was suggested.
Why?
Long time prior to doing it, and I kind of pondered on the idea. I had talked to Bryan about it. He was more than happy to come in and do it, but he also knew that he had to remain respectful.
Absolutely. Now, wait a minute. I had to tell Bryan, you got to be respectful. No, that's not what happened. Because I always have been over there. And the reason I'm respectful over there, I will be respectful when people are respectful with me. There was no, now we need you to be respectful, Bryan. That didn't happen. The fuck, man? Really, dude? Is that how you gonna start this? Let's see.
He did. And
I always have been.
But the reason why I did that was so that, and believe me, I don't agree with Mr. St. John and what he thinks happened with the case at all.
No, don't say at all. We've talked about this case, and you've never tried to check me on a fact or anything like that.
The thing is I wanted people to see both sides. I think that's very important in this case because there's so much misinformation. And
oh yeah, there is. There's a lot.
I'll just leave it at misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to do something good for the case. It wasn't that I was supporting a hater. It wasn't that.
Now, immediately, hater. Why? Why would you call us a hater? I don't understand that. I don't get how we're a hater of what? People who kill babies?
The intentions were good, and I had to take a little bit of slack for that.
Yeah, take a little bit of slack. Why would you bring him up here to tell the truth for, Rich? What the fuck is wrong with you?
And from what I understand, Mr. St.John did as well, from the non-support side.
Oh, no, I did not take any slack from the non-support side because we don't do that. They encourage us to debate. I never told him I caught slack either. I did catch slack for hanging out with Rich, and they kept saying, well, he's just like the rest of them, and I said, no, he isn't. But no, I didn't catch any slack for that. You know, we encourage people to debate with us. I encourage another one, Rich.
Personally, I could care less about the non-support side.
Now, look how rude he is. He can care less about us. He's angry with us somehow, and we're haters already. And I need to respect things. Come on, Rich.
But I just...
You know everything that you say in this video, I'm going to let it roll. You know that everything you say in this video, I'm going to tear it up. Time has come. I'm going to tear it up. You watch. This is too easy for me, brother.
Just want people to know that my intentions were good. I thought it was a successful podcast. I think Tara believes that too, but I'll let her speak for herself. And I just kind of want to leave it at that. Was there anything you wanted to add to that, Tara?
No, just thought that I don't think Bryan said anything that was too outrageous.
I didn't say anything outrageous. Nothing. Nothing. Too outrageous.
And I just think that he didn't prove anything. He didn't, you know.
It was more of we were just talking, kind of. But no, nobody challenged me.
Proves that Darlie's guilt or anything. So I don't know. He didn't really say much, to be honest. And it seemed to me that he might have softened a bit towards.
Well, no. Here's the thing. She says, "Well, seems to me like he might have softened a bit." No, I came up there and I was met with respect and civility and dignity, and that's what I gave back. That's why it happened. There's no softened. Why would I be mad at any of you? I'm not mad at any of you until you fuck with me.
You know, towards the situation.
Right. I told Darlie Lynn one time, and I think I told Darlie Key too, I said, anybody that looks at this case, looks at everything on this case, will see rather quickly all the holes in it, and that, in fact, Darlie Lynn is definitely innocent. No question about it.
There's no question in my mind, no question at all. I've studied every piece of this case. And there is not one doubt in my mind that she's innocent. And that meaning that she's innocent means that there's someone that's guilty or persons that are guilty of this. And that's what keeps me going, because I know she's innocent.
She knows.
You just have to look at the information for yourself and look at the photographs for yourself. Look at what the prosecutors are saying, and then decide for yourself. This doesn't add up. Doesn't add up what they're saying and what the evidence is showing. And And anyone with, you know, any sort of logic.
Listen to that.
Would see that she's innocent.
Anybody with any sort of logic. Look at it. Like, this is how they're defending Darlie Routier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question about it. And just to let the viewers know, I did receive a letter from Darlie a couple days ago. Very nice letter.
Hang on.
She's doing well. She said that the COVID-19's running rampant throughout the prison, but not in her unit. So she's safe, she's healthy, and is trudging right along. So I just wanted to, she said that after the new year, she's going to really start working out and getting herself into shape. And she's really looking forward to being able to do that. And other than that, she wished happy holidays to everybody.
Woo!
And that's pretty much about it. It was a very nice letter. There's nothing in the world that I look forward to more other than seeing my beautiful Bonnie when I come home from work than to see a letter from Darlie Lim.
Oh.
Because it always inspires me one way or the other. And it also, I guess you could say in a right way, it helps me stay grateful for what I do have. So it's almost therapeutic for me from a certain point of view. But anyway, just for a quick review, you can see at the bottom of your screen, there's an address up there if you want to come on in and join.
I'm watching the chat,
yeah,
too.
Bonnie just told me that somebody was actually trying to come in to the group and it wasn't working. So Bonnie's checking into it right now to see exactly what's going on with that. But we do want you to come in today. We want you to ask questions, and we'll give you the best answer that we know about anything. We could also do questions and answers in the comment section as well until Bonnie gets the application working correctly.
There's someone in the comments section, Robert F, and he said he thinks this is the same way I feel about BryanSt.John.
Now listen to this.
He thinks BryanSt.John knows he's wrong, but for some reason he feels the need to put forth an outward image of Darlie's guilt.
Now, none of them have ever did videos where I've talked about Darlie to show where they're wrong. I'm going to go through this one, and I guarantee you, quickly, as soon as they start talking about the case, I guarantee you I'll find something wrong. Guaranteed. You guys want to bet?
I believe that as well for some reason. Like, I've always got that vibe from him. He knows, like, if he's any sort of logical person, really, that he knows that he's innocent.
So all of these people who feel like she's guilty, including the people that convicted her, are not logical people. We learned that from Rich today.
But he just, for some unknown reason, maybe it was before his hatred for Darlie Key or whatever argument.
There is absolutely no hatred for Darlie Key. None.
They had or something along those lines. But
hey, Miss Tara, I challenge you to a public debate on your channel regarding this case. As long as you're respectful, I will be. I bet you 100% that you cannot out-debate me on this case. Any day.
I've always felt like deep down he knows that she's innocent.
Yeah, I have my, I don't want to say it, but I have my suspicions as well.
Oh, you never told me about them fucking suspicions, Rich. I'm surprised. I never saw this.
But you're right about that.
Oh, really, Rich? Okay. Now, you know I'm going to tear this up now, right? I'm going to tear it up. I'm going to do it the right way. Watch.
And Robert's right about that. And Donna D, for your question, you say, is Darlie's family working closely with the Innocent Project? Oh, yeah. I know they've had several conversations with Vanessa at the Innocence Project. Oh, that was another thing that Darlie Lynn said in her letter, is that she had another session with Vanessa over the phone that was being scheduled at the time that she wrote me a letter. How you doing, Mr. Weir? It's good to see you, sir.
Now, Rich says he agrees with this. Okay, I didn't know that.
But yeah, they're working real close with it, and things are looking good right now. That much I can tell you. That much I do know.
Well, now consider this. This video was made 3 years ago, and just a couple months ago, Danelle was asking the public to call in Innocence Project with any leads.
So we're trying to get this link working. Bonnie's working on it here. Bonnie just posted, clicking this link should work, and she has it posted in the comment section. Hi, Amy. How are you today? Well, I tell you, Terry, it seems like we got some new people in here today.
I'm watching the chat too, so they all get this feeling about me. He knows.
That's great. That's wonderful.
He knows she's innocent. I can tell by the content he's putting out. Rich has told me and the public, I've watched every one of his videos, and he's got some very good points. He never once told me, you think she's innocent, don't you? He never did that. That's some shady shit.
And some old faces.
Yeah.
Not that you're old.
Thank you, Jana, for that kind comment. Jana F says, when I first found your channel, I binge watched all your videos. At the time, I was on the fence regarding Darlie's innocence, and I want to thank you because now I have no doubt of her innocence. That's great, Jana. I'm glad to say that, and I really appreciate you that comment. I really do. That's the whole reason why I come here, folks. Me and Tara don't get money for doing this. We don't want money for doing this. You know, a lot of people do their podcasts, say, you know, they want money and this and that. That's not what I'm here for. And let's see, Bathsheba, I think, is coming into the StreamYard here. Tara, let's go ahead and get her up here. Bathsheba, how are you?
Hi, Bathsheba.
See, I've never seen her before.
How are you guys? Nice.
I've never seen Bathsheba before. I don't remember this. This will be cool. She comes to my channel and she gets a little hyped up, but she's more than welcome. Any Darlie supporter is welcome to come to my channel. And if I say something that's incorrect, you can just be civil, be an adult, and I'll be one. Let's see.
To finally talk to you.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. You've been a long-time guest of the podcast. What would you like to talk about today?
I've been a big supporter of Darlie since the murders. I thought the Silly String tape on, I think it was 60 Minutes, about a year after it happened. And even then, I thought there was something really off about the whole thing in terms of the way they presented it. So I have a question for you, and I don't know if you can answer it or not. Maybe you can look into it. But I'm really curious, has anybody, any armchair detectives, checked into Barry Fife's criminal history and like where he was that night, what he was up to, and also why were he and Darren charged and indicted for the Jaguar incident? You know, the theft of the Jaguar?
Well, one thing is there was no evidence of that, but I know there was no evidence of it, but
it is my understanding that it's been admitted publicly that Barry took it. And so I'm wondering why that...
Where has it been admitted publicly? Where has it been admitted publicly that Barry took it? As a matter of fact, let me see here. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can find that. In 1994, I spoke to a person about my Jaguar automobile. In that conversation, I said it wouldn't bother me if that Jaguar was stolen. That person then stole the Jaguar. Where is it admitted to publicly? I've never heard that before. I've heard this, that a person did it, but it does not say Barry Fife there. And we're probably the first thing they said about the case. The very first thing that was said about Darren or Darlie or any of them. Well, okay. Let's see.
Charged and looked into, and why Barry Fife wasn't checked out by somebody, not necessarily the authorities, but by an armchair detective.
Well, I actually called down there looking for Barry Fife, and I spoke to Donna Fife. He was supposed to call me back. He wasn't looked into because he wasn't a suspect.
Isn't it?
Well, I can tell you what I know about all that, but I have to be careful with some of that because it's actually getting into stuff that's still being investigated, and I know a lot about it. As far as you ask if anybody's ever investigated it, but you bet the farm they have. I'm one of them.
Okay.
Mr. Phillips is also one of them.
He was investigated, Barry.
I was kind of hoping he was going to come in today. He might show up. What I can tell you is there's a lot of strange things like that with the case. Yes, I totally agree with you. They should have. Darren should have been indicted for conspiracy at minimum.
Right.
Okay. Now, I've noticed that he said he wants everybody to be respectful for the family, especially Darlie Lynn. Darren is family.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
One thing about, I've heard Darren say publicly, I will do anything possible to get to the bottom of this case. But what I find, Annie Oakley, nice to see you. Merry Christmas to you. I heard him say publicly, that he would do anything to get to the bottom of the case. Well, he won't talk to me. I wrote him a letter online and sent it to him, and no response. He immediately blocked me. And I wrote him a very respectful letter. But, at the same time...
You wrote him a letter and he blocked you? He blocked you from the U.S. mail? It sounds to me like you sent him a letter and then you tried to hit him on Facebook. Well, he told me to fuck off once, so maybe he don't want to talk about the case.
Yes, it's very interesting that you're very well aware of the Barry Fife incident. Let me also tell you this.
What Barry Fife incident? Darren's own words. They do not say Barry Fife. But, I know she's innocent. I do. I know that she's innocent, but I'm just doing this right here because she's innocent. I know she's innocent, but, you're right. That Barry Fife incident? Nope.
And again, I wish I could go so much deeper, but I was asked not to. But let me just do this. There was another murder that took place about 2 weeks.
See, this is the whole... Who cares? I thought we were supposed to talk about the case.
After the Retier murders. Literally 3/4 miles.
There was one in Florida, too. There was one in Georgia. There was one, it has nothing to do with the Darlie case.
1/4 of a mile away from the Retier's house at Lake Ray Hubbard with Michelle LeMay South.
I want to hear the reasons.
We've actually, me and Mr. Phillips and some others, we have actually been able to connect those two murders together.
Oh my God! Wow.
They're connected. They connected.
All got sent.
He said he connected those two murders together. They were able to do that. Okay. Look at this. This is Rick. Now we're just. I put out the facts. None of these people come to me with the facts. Barry is a shady fella who ran a car repair shop in the same strip of buildings as Darren's. Yeah. So what's so shady about him? How do you know this? Where's the shadiness? I'd like to see some evidence of that because I haven't.
Innocence Project. It also got sent to Darlie Lynn's new attorneys. I'm not going to mention who the new attorney group is. I just don't know if I should do that. But
see, I got my cam set up to make it look like I'm up on the panel with them.
They were given all the information. I know Vanessa asked Darlie Lynn, where did Rich get all this information from? This is really good work. Well, let me say first off that it wasn't all my work. There's kind of a mix between my work and Mr. Phillips's work that was sent. They were real impressed with it. And they said when they start the new investigation, they're going to start with that.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. That's great.
So they're going to start with Barry Fife based on that? Okay.
Glad to hear it. Huh?
And then Anna's asking, who is Barry Fife? Barry Fife owned a chop shop right next door to Tessneck, which was Darren's business in Rowlett. A very shisty character.
Okay, they've used the word shady and shisty. I want to see the evidence.
To say the least.
Are we starting out with the character assassination? Because at least in, you guys say that the prosecutors, character assassinated Darlie, but at least they had reasons, you know what I'm saying? Then they come out and say, well, she's shady. Well, she's shisty. Why? Why is this? I want to see.
Yeah.
So.
And Barry White, he was on The Wrong Man, the episode of The Wrong Man. And they tried to interview him, and he actually...
No, they didn't try to interview him. They actually did interview him. How do you try to interview somebody? It's like, hey, can you tell me something about the... And then you fall over, and then the interview's over. Oops, I tried to interview you. No, they did interview him.
He turned round and said that he thinks Darren did it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that Darren was found on the door... he found him on the sidewalk or something, and he said, oh, it's a rough night.
Yeah, God damn, that Darren. Maybe Darren didn't want to talk about it. And he know everybody knew about it. He coming back to work. Or wait a minute. How's he going to see Darren on the curb? Darren didn't go back to work right away, did he? Rough night? Where'd Barry see Darren at the next day? Because I know that the next day Darren spent being interviewed with the police in the hospital with Darlie. So when was he with Barry? Rough night. Okay, and then this shady, shisty character says that Darren said, rough night. Okay. When did Barry come over to the scene, or did he come out to the hospital? That's what I want to know.
Rough night.
Yeah, there's. I so wish I could get into that with you, Bathsheba. I really wish I could. You have no idea.
Remember, this video is 3 years old, and Bernard Phillips and Rich went and studied. They went and investigated Fife, and they can't really say much about it, but they're aware and they're being investigated. Okay.
How bad I am sitting here wanting to go into this because it's very serious. It definitely pertains to the case.
Very, very serious and definitely pertains to the case 3 years ago, and you don't speak about it anymore. I haven't heard you talk about Barry Fife.
Believe me, it's getting looked at.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Because I've been thinking about that a long time. And I keep seeing videos with him in them, you know, when they
They did one video, and that was the wrong man. And Barry Fife's done nothing after that, just that.
him. And he just seems like such a shady character. I mean,
What makes him seem like a shady character? You know what? These motherfuckers that own auto body shops, those are some shady characters. Those guys that own Automedic in Rockwall, Texas, those are some shady characters. You gotta watch them. Those mechanics, they're shady. And they're shisty.
he's like so. And my understanding is that he has a criminal rap.
That's your understanding? Okay. When I bring up the fact that someone is a shady character and they have a criminal record, I usually show what that criminal record is so we know what kind of person it is. Criminals are different. You know, you got rapists, you got murderers, you got thieves. You know, so what kind of crimes are these that he's so shady of? And why isn't he in jail?
Sheet and I'm like, and he was very close to Darren, and apparently he said he went over to the house right after it happened, and I'm like,
Oh, really? He said Barry Fife said in an interview that he went over to the house after it happened. Is that what I just heard? I'm going to have to run that back.
I so wish I could get into that with you, Bathsheba. I really wish I could. You have no idea how bad I am sitting here wanting to go into this because it's very serious. It definitely pertains to the case. But believe me, it's getting looked at.
oh, good, I'm glad. I'm glad. Because I've been thinking about that a long time. And I keep seeing videos with him in them, you know, when they interview him.
No.
And he just seems like such a shady character.
No. You have not seen him in videos. You've seen him in one video. And there was nothing shady about him and the wrong man.
I mean, he's like so. And my understanding is that he has a criminal rap sheet, and
Okay, where's that at?
Like, and he was very close to Darren, and apparently he said he went over to the house right after it happened. And
Nobody went right over to the house right after that. When nobody was allowed in the house for up until like November, that house was sealed off. No way. So I don't know where you saw that. I challenge you, Bathsheba, to show me where you saw that at. I bet you.
Oh my God! Why wasn't this guy thoroughly investigated? I don't get it. If ever there should have been somebody investigated, it's him.
What does it make any sense to you that if he did anything shady around the house, why would he go there the day after? Is this what the logic you're thinking with? I can't believe I've never looked at this, really.
He took the Jaguar, then why wouldn't he get involved in the investigation?
Who said he took the Jaguar?
The house. I mean, why wouldn't he get involved in the burglary of the house for insurance? Since he went to that already. If he's already doing that,
I got one better for you, Bathsheba, and I hope I'm not reaching by saying this, but I'm not going to tell you.
She's basically saying that Darren's guilty because she said that he and Darren got together to have the Jaguar stolen, and then she says, why wouldn't Barry Fife be involved in an insurance scam then? Because he was close to Darren. She just accused Darren of the crime with Barry Fife. That's what she just did. But we got to be respectful to the family, especially Darlie Lynn. You got to listen close to these things. This is ridiculous already.
Of course, but I promise you it's...
You know, they're only 18 minutes in, and they spent, 12 minutes just talking.
It's a damn good source.
No, he's got a damn good source. Barb Davis had a damn good source in the DA's office, too. They all got these damn good sources. I'm going to get a shirt that says, I'm your damn good source.
The word is that Jaguar is sitting at the bottom of Lake Ray Hubbard.
No, Beja told me that Jaguar was in Hamilton, Ohio. And she didn't say anything about Barry Fife taking it. Nothing.
oh my God! Wow.
So, Yeah, that's the word on that. And I...
That's the word. That's the word. Yeah, I want to be factual. Rich, you say that a lot, that you always want to be factual. I noticed that you say the word actually a lot. And then usually following that is some bullshit that ain't got nothing to do with the case.
I think that that should... well, Lake Ray Hubbard's a pretty good sized lake, but I think it should try to get found. I really do. I know...
well, I thought you and Bernard did some investigating on that. And if did you stop at they put it in the lake and that's it and you walked away?
Give me a moment here. I'm really tired, folks. Try to bear with me. Barbara Javel had told BryanSt.John that that he had went to Barry Fife to get that jacket.
She absolutely did not say Barry Fife. Nope. She said he had it stolen, but she didn't say by Barry Fife.
Wire taken, and somebody in Ohio took it. I don't know that I believe that, but that's what she said. Anyway,
if you don't believe that, right? If you don't believe that, then how are you telling them that they just? How you were just telling that Bathsheba that I could tell you really studied it. When Beja says that Mary took it, you don't know if you can believe that. That don't make no sense. That absolutely makes no sense.
The question that I would have had for Barbara Javel at that point is, how do you know that?
Yeah.
But I don't think that was asked. So, but anyway, very good, Bathsheba. Sounds like you've been doing your homework on the case.
As you're doing her homework, why didn't they check into somebody that was never a suspect, that nobody ever seen, that Darren and Darlie never mentioned coming to the house? Why don't we look in there? Why don't we do that? Why don't we go so far off left field somewhere? Makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Trying to stay on top of everything, but things, I guess, start changing now. I mean, they're still looking into it, and I hope, they're uncovering a lot of stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been looked into that should have been years ago, and I'm still amazed that they can do more investigation. By the way, I was looking at some videos of the Darlie tapes and the other night, and there's one of her in the hospital. You know how you always see the scene of her in the hospital with the IV going into her arm?
Right.
And there's a shot of her, you see the right side of her face more. It's kind of a three-quarter shot, but you can see the right side of her face. But you hardly ever see the left side of her face. So this one is a shot of the left side of her face, and you can clearly see there's a cut on her chin. I mean, it's like, I don't know.
There's a scratch on her chin.
But it's like...
There's a scratch on her chin, but not a cut.
An actual cut.
No. It's not an actual cut. See, the word actual with these ones usually comes followed by some bullshit. It's not an actual cut. It's a scratch. Well, let's see. Let's check it out. Darlie had a slashing into her neck, a minor stab with her low shoulder, minor cuts exceeds to her left knuckles on the palm. Blah, 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 blah. A minor cut or scrape on the left side of her chin. So let's go into that a little more. Fact or fiction. There it is. Let me get my fat ass out of there. Okay, let me see if I can find something else. The mess. Let's see. The towel going on her shirt, blah, 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 blah. Medical testimony. I want to see where the wounds are. Let's see right here. Cut on chin. You know what? I want to do it like this. So let's go to testimony and let's see where we're at. Dr. Santos, hey, now. This wound cut through skin and fat but didn't penetrate the muscle below. That's a superficial wound. Anyway, let's see. 2 stab wounds, okay. Let's see. 1 stab. A cut on left cheek. Once again, there is no testimony to support Darlie's post-conviction claim. Those are absolutely not defense wounds. Nope. So there's no testimony. You weren't stabbed in the face, were you? Not stabbed, there were marks on my face. That's where you can find that in testimony, right there. From Darlie herself. Yep, I knew it. By God. That son of a bitch, Bryan. I hate that motherfucker. He knows she's innocent.
I haven't seen anybody, address this. Like, how would she get a cut on the bottom of her chin?
Well, the reason they didn't press that is because Darlie herself said said there were only marks on her face. That's why they didn't look into it. Why didn't you look into that? God. Wow.
And she was interviewed, I think, just under 2 years ago by this talk show host in Great Britain, and it was just posted a few days ago, I think.
Yeah.
I forget her name, Good Morning Britain, she hosts or something. And she was talking to Darlie, and Darlie said her mouth... her mouth was torn up. Her mouth
really?
was torn up.
Oh, let's see. Darlie said on this show that her mouth was tore up. Darlie was interviewed and she said on this show that her mouth was tore up. There's nothing to support this post-conviction claim. In fact, neither Darlie nor Darren, or anyone else for that matter, even mentioned cut lips in their trial testimony. Considering that Darlie was the supposed victim of a violent crime, injuries such as this would have been charted and treated in the hospital had they existed. And there's nothing in medical testimony that shows that. Mulder, while you were in the hospital, did you realize anything unusual about the inside of your mouth? Darlie, yes, my mouth was very sore. It felt kind of raw. Kind of raw is a lot different than cut up and tore up. Oh, and that's Darlie said that. So that's the end of that. Let's see. Did Darlie at any time complain or remark about the injury to her mouth? Yes, because she did say it was sore. Okay. Family members were feeding her ice chips because the pipes were all swollen. You could see the cuts inside of her mouth. He says you could see them. There's no medical testimony. The only one that says cuts is Darren. She doesn't even say cuts. So maybe if her mouth is raw, but no. Why did this claim of raw sore cut? Blah blah blah. Oh, very good. Okay, well, no. There's no testimony of a cut, and Darlie herself said that there was a scrape on her face. She said her mouth was sore, but it wasn't tore up. That's Darlie's testimony. Next.
So, I mean, and that's what Cyrilda said. She said in the hospital, she said Darlie's mouth was all torn up. So what is the prosecution response to that? They had no response at all?
No, here's the prosecution's response to that. Yes, my mouth was very sore. It's kind of raw inside. That was their response to that. And besides, it wasn't brought up at trial. It's post-conviction stuff. This is something that was spoken about after the trial. That's how the prosecution responded to it. They didn't have to because it didn't happen.
Cut on her chin, and her mouth is all torn up. I mean, like, that is so...
And Darlie herself said there was a mark on her chin, and her mouth felt kind of raw. She changed it to there's a cut on her chin, her mouth was all tore up. You heard it live here on Darlie's Guilty as Fuck.
Oh, that's what they did. That's what they did a lot of the time. They just glazed over things like they didn't matter.
They didn't just glaze over it, Mystery Maverick. It was post-conviction. They glazed over it. It looks to me like Darlie glazed over it. If her mouth was so cut up and raw and just cuts everywhere and sore, by God, Darlie should have said how she felt. She's just being modest here, ain't she? Her mouth bleeding, teeth hanging out. Oh, I got a sore. I'm okay. This is Darlie herself. Dumbasses.
Just ignore it, and it's so big, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so
I'm speechless.
You know what's so obvious? It's so obvious you haven't read these transcripts at all, or the medical testimony. But good job. It's obvious that you've been really keeping up on this. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. You know, when you say ridiculous things like this, you deserve ridicule.
Well, yeah, even Cirilla Routier said when she was in the hospital, they were actually getting...
And is that word actually again? Actually. Let's see. They were actually... I think people know they're getting ready to lie when they say this word. Let's see what he says.
Q-tips and putting Vaseline on it and going along her gums because the inside of her mouth was tore up so bad.
Oh, it was tore up terribly. Yes, family members were feeding her ice chips because her lips were all swollen. You could see the cuts on the inside of her mouth. Now, if her mouth is raw, it could look like a cut to him. But where is this? Where are these Q-tips? And did the nurses write that down? Did the nurses write down that they were doing that? No. I guess their focus notes were wrong, right?
And some people claim that's a lie. I don't think it is. Cirilla Routier is really a nice woman, and also since we're mentioning her, she's very, very ill, folks. She was just in the intensive care unit for pneumonia. She has a lot of pulmonary issues, or should I say vascular issues. With breathing and stuff. She's on oxygen around the clock. She walks around with a walker. To my understanding, she's in pretty bad shape. So I wanted to let folks know about very important, very nice woman. Annie Oakley is asking, does anybody want to go fishing? I do. So, but yeah, as far as her mouth is concerned, there's a lot of speculation about that. And some people have made the claim that she may have been, knocked out with a chemical by the name of xylene.
Oh, no. No. Let's see what he says.
I know what xylene is. It's a chemical that I use almost on a daily basis for the line of work that I'm in. And xylene will definitely knock you out. Xylene will definitely burn you.
Yeah, leave burns on your skin.
But here's the thing. One day, and Bonnie could tell you about it. It's kind of embarrassing, but there's a point to the story. I was doing a job and we had a 5-gallon bucket of it, because we used the chemical. What I didn't realize is that there was xylene on top of the bucket, and also the bucket was full with it, and I didn't know it. And I had a break for a minute, so I actually sat on the bucket. Well, lo and behold, I got xylene all on my underside and everywhere else, okay? And I was actually working in Rowlett that day, and it takes me about 20 minutes to get home from there. And I stood up. I'm like, oh my God, I just sat in xylene. And one of my coworkers said, you better get that off your skin. You better get that off your skin. It's going to burn you. So I jumped in the truck and I drove home. I mean, fast. I mean, I was like a bolt of lightning driving home. It's a good thing I didn't get pulled over. I probably would have went to jail. But the point to my story is I would say about 30 minutes it took from when I sat in it to when I got home and actually got my clothes off. I was burned so bad I almost had to go to the hospital. I was trying to put stuff on it and it was just burning so bad. Xylene, if she had been knocked unconscious with xylene, her entire face would have been as red as an apple. It would have been burned. It would have really been bad. Not just that, xylene is like a polyurethane times 10, and it stinks bad. And if you would have something like that in a house, the smell wouldn't linger real long, but I'll bet in the time frame that we're dealing with on this case, you would have been able to smell it. So I don't think it was xylene. So that's my own opinion, but I just don't think that it was xylene. Because it may have burned the inside of her mouth, but it also would have burned her face. If something was held to her face with xylene on it, it definitely would have burned her face. I don't have any question of the doubt. That stuff is wicked. So,
Rich,
let's see here.
I've seen somewhere else
Yes.
that you could also lose consciousness from the actual throat, her actual throat being slit. Because there's certain, like,
Yes.
the veins that can cause you to like pass out.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did she do this? When did she do this passing out, though? When did she pass out? It was before or after she made the 911 call?
It's funny you say that because that's actually what I do think happened. Again, let me make that clear. That's speculation. But when you get any kind of interruption of blood flow to the brain, it's going to give you problems. Like for an example, if you're getting strangled, you can feel yourself, getting ready to
When did she have this problem? Because, she had her throat slit and then she rushed after this intruder, picked up a knife, went back and screamed for Darren, got on the phone, called 911. So when could she have passed out? When could she have lost consciousness after that slice?
Like pass out, when you're getting strangled. Because that's a disruption of blood flow to the brain. So you're dealing with an actual slit of the throat to where it was 2 millimeters away from the carotid artery. The carotid sheath was actually nicked, and she was bleeding profusely. I mean, you look at the.
She actually had splurting wounds, and she didn't really lose that much blood. It's just that they're the small veins that were inside of her neck, through the fatty part. Those little small veins were splurting all over the place, but it wasn't a large a loss of blood.
Crime scenes. It's a complete bloodbath.
Right, and they also had light colored carpet, which would make it look a lot worse than it was, because Darlie didn't lose consciousness at all, and she didn't require any blood when she got to the hospital. And most all of that blood that was on the ground was Darlie's, as if she was the one running around splurting wounds, stabbing or whatever. I don't know what she was doing. I feel like she stabbed Damon twice.
From her and the boys. But that's what I believe happened. So, but again, it's also speculation on that. But Anna brings up a good point. She says it may be chloroform. Could have been.
No. The chloroform. See, here's the thing. Chloroform, if they used it on you were assuming they used it on the sock, there would be evidence of it on the sock. There would be evidence. Let's take a look and see. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. Chloroform also causes progressive central nervous system depression. Initial symptoms include excitement, nausea, and vomiting, followed by ataxia, dizziness, drowsiness, convulsions, and coma. Severe cases of paralysis. Wow. Sudden death. What are the dangers of it? It can harm eyes, skin, and liver. Chloroform can be toxic. Inhaled or swallowed. Inhaled or swallowed can be toxic. She didn't show any signs of anything like that, right? Chloroform. Wow. There would be a hell of a lot of symptoms. That's all I can say.
If you know how to make it, you can make chloroform, with household items at home. It's actually not that difficult to make. And keep in mind, that's what Casey Anthony did.
Rich said it's not that difficult to make.
In her house and put that little baby girl to sleep.
Where was you at on June 6, 1996, Richard?
So... And you can make it with household items. That's the real scary part of it.
Can you make it with an antique Hershey's truck?
Donna asks, is this
that's made out of Hershey's cans?
Hey, Donna, good.
It's made out of 3 Hershey's cans.
That's a good way to look at it. I would have to say no.
No, you would.
Xylene is like it strips things. Paint, epoxies, things that you would use like antiquing agents, stuff like that. Or you can use xylene and other petroleum-based materials to thin them out a little bit. What you have to remember is
the fact that you wanted her to shut up and stop, talking.
Let's see.
If it's true, I've never heard of it, but Glenn Mize passed away some years ago. Epoxies, things that you would use like antiquing agents, stuff like that. Or you can use xylene and other petroleum-based materials to thin them out a little bit. That's the kind of thing that xylene's used for. I wouldn't think that they would be using xylene in an auto shop, but I do know one thing they do use in an auto shop, which is ether. They use...
Sounds like they're trying to blame Barry Fife. No. Now, we don't see any of these types of side effects. Breathing ether causes drowsiness, excitement, dizziness, vomiting, irregular breathing, and increased saliva. That would be good for her since she had all them cuts in her mouth. So you're also talking about open cuts in her mouth, right? And then these chemicals, ether, but she's got open cuts in her mouth. If you put any one of those types of chemicals on it, it could burn like a son of a bitch. She'd be screaming. About her mouth. Think. Mouth is tore up. It could be this chemical. No. You can't have both of them. You can't have either of them, actually.
use ethers such as and starting fluids and different various components are used in auto shops. So a good point there. Bathsheba, we want to hear more from you.
Except the good point would be, my counter would be, you can't put any chemical that has the potential to strip or if it'll burn your skin, and all those will burn your skin that they mentioned, and her mouth being all tore up like that, don't add up. It'd burn them cuts.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you happen to know if Glenn Mize was ever a customer of Darren's?
To my knowledge, you mean a Tesnick?
No,
Yeah.
he lived in the
To my
neighborhood.
knowledge, no.
He lived in the neighborhood, I thought.
But there are some other connections.
Well, see, I didn't study much into Glenn Mize. I just knew he lived in the neighborhood because I didn't see Glenn Mize's name in any police report, any testimony, nothing like that.
Suggested to me that he was a customer, but I didn't read anything about it or any follow-up. But, I just thought it was something that should be checked out.
If it's
Well, wait a minute. Why should it be checked out if you didn't? Wait a minute.
Okay, because somebody suggested to me that he was a customer, but I didn't read anything about it or any follow-up. But, I just thought it was something that should be checked out.
Oh, she said, somebody suggested that he was a customer, but I didn't read about it or do any follow-up. And I wondered if somebody would check into that. Well, why didn't you check into it? I want to hear that again. Maybe I heard that wrong.
Do you happen to know if Glenn Mize was ever a customer of Darren's?
To my knowledge, you mean a Tesnick?
Yeah.
To my knowledge, no.
Okay.
But there are some other connections.
Okay, because somebody suggested to me that he was a customer, but I didn't read anything about it or any follow-up. But, I just thought it was something that should be checked out.
If it's true,
Then why don't you check it out? If somebody told you, hey, that means you were sitting talking about the Darlie case somewhere, and somebody said, you know what? That Glenn Mize, I think that was a customer of Darren's. And you thought it needed to be checked out, right? Why didn't you check it out? Why didn't you look to see? Why are you saying, I think that needs to be checked out? Why didn't you do it? Glenn Mize is not a suspect, never was. I'm just wondering when they're going to start talking about the case.
I've never heard of it, but Glenn Mize passed away some years ago. No, it wasn't all that long ago, now that I think of it. I actually have the obituary. I think I sent it. Didn't I send that to you, Tara?
Yeah. Quite interesting.
Are you with us, Tara?
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Can you hear me? I love her
Didn't I
voice.
send you Glenn Mize's
I like her voice.
obituary?
Yeah, you did. I read it.
Yeah,
It's quite interesting because I always, I don't know, I feel like Glenn Mize is a name that always sort of I come back to when I'm looking at this case.
Why would you come back to that name when nobody mentioned him as a suspect? He's just a guy that happened to live in the neighborhood. Why you got your eye on somebody nobody else does?
Well, let me just, if I could give you a brief synopsis in the obituary, because it's public, so it's not like it's a big secret. One of the things that said in the obituary is that his specialty was making different kinds of knives.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, his yeah. But the knife that killed the boys came from the house. Really?
Very bizarre.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. This guy, it's very bizarre. This guy, he really likes to make knives. I mean, it is a big. That is a big industry to actually put to build knives. That really is a thing. All right? That's very bizarre to them. That's very bizarre. But when she sits down at home to eat, if she has a steak, she's going to use a knife. If she needs to cook, she's going to use a knife. But somebody that likes to make knives, that's very bizarre to her. It really is.
And I believe he told
he also had connect.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Tara.
I believe he threatened Darlie as well.
You believe that?
There was an incident between him and Darlie as well. That always.
Okay. She said, I believe he threatened Darlie. And then she said there was an incident. I believe, and then there was. See, I listened closely. First of all, Darlie didn't say anything in a police report, on the stand, about being threatened by a man shortly before these murders. So why you believe that is beyond me. Darlie's never really spoke about Glenn Mize. I think about a letter.
His specialty was making different kinds of knives.
Wow. Wow, his speciality. That's his speciality. Let me see how he says that.
If it's true, I've never heard of it, but Glenn Mize passed away some years ago. No, it wasn't all that long ago, now that I think of it. I actually have the obituary. I think I sent it. Didn't I send that to you, Tara?
Yeah. What interesting.
Are you with us, Tara?
Oh.
Hear me?
Hey, look at this shit. And
Okay.
all right, check this out. This is Bernard Phillips, and I get him every fucking time. It's hilarious. That motherfucker hates me. He's about to hate me again. My theory is that Darlie mixed prescription drugs and drank wine, then fell asleep. Well, your theory is wrong because there were no prescription drugs or wine in her system. McFly! And you went and investigated Barry Fife with Rich, right? That's what he said.
Didn't I send you Glenn Mize's obituary?
Yes, you did. I read it.
Yeah, I
it's quite interesting because I always, I don't know, I feel like Glenn Mize is a name that always sort of I come back to when I'm looking at this case.
Why do you come back to it? Because he threatened her, right? Where are you getting that from? Why didn't she say anything about him being threatened? You guys are complaining about shit that Darlie ain't. You're saying shit that Darlie said it isn't right. You're maximizing shit that Darlie didn't even say. Raw mouth, tore up, cut, mark. You guys are maximizing when Darlie isn't even doing that.
Let me just, if I could give you a brief synopsis in the obituary, because it's public, so it's not like it's a big secret. One of the things that's said in the obituary is that his specialty was making different kinds of knives.
Yeah, very bizarre.
And
so if you were a knife maker and that's your specialty, why in the fuck would you use one of hers? You mean a guy that makes all these knives uses hers? That's very bizarre.
he also had connections.
Sorry.
I've got connections. I've got electrical connections in here. I've got connections on Google. I made a connection in my hand. Now I'll connect this to my lip. I'm going to connect that to my throat, and then it's going to connect to my stomach. What kind of connections?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Tara.
I believe he threatened Darlie as well.
He threatened Darlie as well. Is this evidence? This is your evidence.
There was an incident between him.
There was. Not a speculation. There was. Okay. All right. This same woman said that the information that I get, I just take it out of a book or someone else's content. You're making up shit.
And Darlie as well. That always sort of piques my interest.
Well, you know what? You go ahead and have your interest piqued on that. Darlie needs you.
Because what you have to remember is
the fact that he wanted her to shut up and stop her.
He wanted her to shut up. You shut up, bitch. You shut up. A couple weeks later, kids come up missing or dead. Why didn't Darlie say this?
Talking his business, that side of it.
You don't be talking my business. How would Darlie know his business? How would Darlie know his business? Was she doing business with him? I mean, how would she know his business? For him to go over and say, stop talking my business, don't talk my business. But that means he was doing it in front of her. That means she has knowledge of his business, right? For him to be worried about her talking about his business. James Cron said, you have to reach this case with a common sense approach. How would she know his business?
Well, you have to remember that
motive to me.
That's motive to her. Glenn Mize threatened her and told her to shut up and stay out of my business, and that's motive to Tara. Tara, I'd like to challenge you to a debate on your page anytime you'd like, with any moderator you would like at any time. And that moderator would be able to, if there was an insult or something like that, just end it. I guarantee you 100% that I could debate you in this case and make you look stupid. I'm about to do it right here.
That Allison Hennessy was, there's Mr. Phillips. He's here. You're the man, by the way.
You're the man, by the way. My theory is that Darlie mixed prescription drugs and drank. See, Rich should know. Rich should know right there. He just said, you're the man for this. Anybody knows this case knows that's wrong. Anybody.
Good to have you, Mr. Phillips. And Mr. Phillips, I know you don't really like to speak publicly, but I'd love to have you come in here today. If you want to speak with us, that would be great. Your information's very valuable.
His name's Gary. He's from Brooklyn.
But anyway, Allison Hennessy was Glenn Mize's stepdaughter. Allison Hennessy used to frequent the Retier house. She was a teenage girl that used to do various chores, if you will, for Darlie Lynn. Now, Allison Hennessy didn't testify at the trial, but her friend Renee Stanley did. Renee Stanley also was at the Retier's house, and she testified that she didn't particularly like Darlie Lynn, and that Darlie Lynn used to give Allison Hennessy marijuana and alcohol, different various things all the time.
Wait a minute.
And stuff like that.
What'd he say?
There's also some speculation that
I want to hear it again.
Barbara Javelle, I'd love to have you come in here today. If you want to speak with us, that would be great. Your information's very valued here. Mize also had affiliations with the Rowlett Police Department.
He heard that Glenn Mize also had affiliations with the Rowlett Police Department. And that, okay. And Bernard Phillips' information is very valued around here. It's comical.
Excuse me. But
I had heard a long time ago that Darren actually blamed Barbara Jovell.
Actually, that's the third time. She said I heard Darren actually blamed Barbara Jovell. If Darren blamed Barbara Jovell, then why was Barbara Jovell tending to their baby at the funeral?
For the murders, because he said that she was kind of a lowlife, sort of a quasi-criminal, and that she brought in a lot of really other criminal elements into the house.
So, Barb Jovell was hanging out with criminal elements in the house on Eagle, and Darlie and Darren didn't tell them that they needed to go somewhere else and hang out. I never heard Barbara Jovell bringing anybody in the house besides the mother.
Do you know anything about that?
Well,
That seems the pot calling the kettle black.
well, actually, it's not the first time I've heard that, believe it or not. I've heard that a couple times.
Everything that they have spoken so far in a court of law is 100% hearsay.
From a couple people. Barbara Jovell, I want to try to be respectful. I don't know the woman. I've heard some good, I've heard some bad.
I've heard this and I've heard that, but I don't know. I've heard this and I've heard that, but I don't know. Listen. You gotta listen, people.
She had problems. She had serious problems. She had...
Okay, I don't know her, but I heard this and that. She had serious problems. Could you watch our child for us? Okay, she had serious problems. The woman had serious problems. And she's bringing bad people around. And Darren and Darlie are too stupid to keep that away from their kids, right?
Drug addiction issues. She had alcoholism. She actually admitted that publicly. She
said that she had some issues back then, but she also said that they were all doing coke together, too. She did say that on my channel. All of them.
Felony rap sheet.
Felony rap sheet that I've heard nothing about, and he's not going to explain anything about because there is none. Yeah, I guarantee it. Watch.
She worked. I know things. I don't know how much I want to put out there. She did work for Darren. From what I understand, she was not a very good employee and a shisty character of sorts.
Okay. Actually, they worked at Colplex together, all of them. And Beja had been there about 10 years. And Beja taught Darren a lot about the testing of the circuit boards. And if you read, and you would know. She wasn't a very good employee, but we're going to have her come over to our house, and we're going to hire her mom. That's what I do when I'm in supervisory spots. I find the worst motherfucker, the one that comes in late, don't do shit, hangs, and just is never doing his job right. I'd be like, hey man, you want to hang out after the house, help me watch my kids? I do. That's what I do.
And she also knew Barry Fife really well.
Now, Darren was the one that had the shop next to him, not Beja, right? And if she was off the hook and crazy, she knows all these people Darlie and Darren know, right?
Like I said, a lot of that's still being looked into. But I tell you, BryanSt.John actually had a really good interview. He had 2 interviews with Barbara Jovell on his YouTube. It's no longer up, but she tells a lot of things on there.
I still got it right here.
A lot of things very interesting. Some I believe, some I don't believe. I believe that she did love those children. I really believe that, but I recently got information from somebody that those children didn't particularly like her.
Not naming them. Very well-known source. Those children didn't like her. So, she's a felon. She's an alcoholic. She's got a drug problem. She has a mental problem. And the kids don't like her very much. Can you watch my kids? A felon with a lot of problems. Alcoholism, drug addiction. Can you watch my kids? That makes no sense. Why would you have that type of person around your kids? Why would you have that type of person as your bridesmaid? Everybody loved Darlie. She had Julie Clark, Melanie Waits, but she chose Beja to be her bridesmaid. You know, the felonious, drug addiction, cross-dressing, shapeshifter, demonic, exploding, invisible Beja. You think about that. Why didn't Julie Clark, Karen Neal, or Melanie Waits become her bridesmaid? Why weren't any of those people working for her? Why didn't they hire any of her friends? Why didn't they hire any of their mothers to help clean their house up?
So I'm not, you know, I mean, Darlie Lynn didn't tell me that, but, you know, we don't discuss the case very much by letters for obvious reasons. But
yeah, because she got fucked up last time she did that shit. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you were supposed to read my letters. Is that legal? She sure did learn her lesson.
I got it from a pretty good source.
Ah, there's that other source again. I'm going to get a shirt that says, I'm your fucking source. Because you guys are just talking hearsay bullshit. If you think you can run any of this in a fucking court of law, get her out. This, you know what? I like you, Rich. But you guys sound like a bunch of clowns up here.
So, but,
actually, we heard it 3 times. I said that people do that. And so far it's been 3 times.
You know, Barbara Cabell did say that she was, and she said this publicly, that she was involved in the conversations with Darren about being involved in the insurance scams.
Actually, what she said was that they both wanted her to help. They wanted her to be involved in something like that, and she didn't want anything to do with it. That's what she said. It wasn't about Darren. It was about all 3. It was about them 2 coming to her to help. Because they need that insane, drug-addicted, alcoholic, mental problem to help them out.
But she said that Darlie Lynn was sitting right there when that went on. That's what she said.
Now, that's in a book, and that's when they were talking about one of the Jaguars with Robbie Key over at Darlie Key's house. And Darlie was sitting there, allegedly, and heard part of the conversation, and it made her so mad she stomped out of the house. That's that story, Rich. That is that story. Allegedly, when he came over to ask Robbie Key, that Darlie caught wind of it. Now, I don't know which book that it's in, and that's all alleged.
So, Darlie Lynn claimed to not know about it. So, you know, but, you know, Basha Javel also has a bit of a history of not telling the truth.
Okay, so can you name one instance where Basha Javel didn't tell the truth? I'm going to ask it. I'd hope he would answer it. I'd hope he'd have an example.
So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to believe a lot of what she has to say.
Why? Give some examples of her history of fabrication.
So.
Yep.
And she was having an affair with Glenn Mize.
Who Barbara Jovell was sleeping with has absolutely nothing to do with the crime. Look at all this speculation. You guys are retards. I mean, I'm sorry to put it like that. If we're haters, you're retards. 'Cause this is dumb. This is flat dumb.
Yeah.
There's so many people here that are shady and that needed to be looked into. It isn't even funny. The only
Okay, where is the shady? Well, you give no examples of it. None. How shady can Barry Fife be? He owns a successful mechanic shop. How shady can he be?
Well, here seems to be Darlie. I mean, everybody.
Oh, everybody's shady except for Darlie. I cannot believe that. Everybody's shady except for Darlie.
So otherwise, it could be, and then they put it on her, which is just,
Yeah, they put it all on her. Yeah, they sure did. But that Glenn Mize, he was having sex with a woman. And he makes knives. Yep.
kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Well, I thought it was very strange with Barbara Jovell. If you read her testimony, and anytime you read the testimony on a Routier case, one of the first things you're going to discover is, well, it's pretty much boring reading.
It's not boring reading if you're serious about the case. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to go to it and see what he says. Let's look at it a little bit first. The Helena. Oh, yeah. They had that issue with Helena and the 10,000 for the beige. By 87. Are you friends with her? Yes, I am. So they've known her for 9 years. Darlie told me that she was trying to attempt a suicide. That's not a lie, because Darlie wrote and told about it. Yep, and Darlie admitted to this. So, and the dog's name is Domain. Yeah, so this is something that she admitted to. Right? I'm just going to skim through it a little bit. Oh, this is about the sex toys. She was concerned about her sexual toys being in the house and police searching the house. See, she was asked a question, and she answered it. By law, she had to. And Darlie's response to having all those sex toys was, "I will not apologize for loving my husband." I'm sorry, but if you got 10 or 12 sex toys, it sounds like you loving the shit out of yourself. Frequently. Darren, can you bring some batteries? But let's see what they got to say about it.
But because the case is extremely one-sided, it's biased, it's character assassination.
Oh my God! Wait, Rich, you just said something about character assassination. Shady. Shiesty, bad people. You character assassinated the shit out of Barry Fife, who wasn't even brought in the case. His name didn't come in the courtroom. That's some bullshit, Rich.
1,000 mistakes on the transcripts. It was a real mess. And Barbara Javelle, you know, she testified, she said a couple bad things about Darlie in the testimony. But what she said on the BryanSt.John interview...
Well, let's see. She talked about... She didn't say anything that wasn't true.
Wasn't even remotely close to what she testified to. And so my question is why didn't Barbara Javelle testify to all these things that she was saying how horrible Darlie Lynn was? You know, she was talking about the silly string episode, and because she did that, I felt as though she was guilty. Gee, that's funny, because Barbara Javelle's right there on the video.
She did not say to me, I saw that silly string and I knew she was guilty. She told me they had been fighting, and she told me that they knew something was going to happen in that house. It had nothing to do with the silly string. She told me that she could feel the tension in the house for a week with those two. It had nothing to do with the silly string. And you said she was right there with them. You know what she was doing? I'll tell you what she was doing. Let me go to a different one. Let me go to a different YouTube real quick. YouTube, Darlie silly string. Now come on, man. YouTube. There we go. Okay. That right there is Beja. That's Beja. In this picture, she's got a hold of baby Drake. That is Danelle right there. Okay, let's go with this news clip.
This may seem a strange thing to do.
What do we got here? That's Beja. They're over here spraying silly string. Now let's see her demeanor. Let's take a look at her. What's going on? Look at that! Woo! It's fucking party time in here, my God! Mouth my titties around.
For some, this may seem a strange thing to do in an odd place and time.
Look to me like Beja's making sure that the baby don't run around and get into nothing, keep hold of him, and kind of rocking him back and forth, kind of saying the song.
Singing happy birthday in the cemetery to a son who was...
Now, because Beja did not say that. She did not say that. And see, she's tending to baby Drake. See? She did not say that. She didn't think anything of the silly string, actually. You know, if she was appalled by the silly string, you would have seen some kind of reaction of her there. Let's see. Nope, she's focused on the baby.
Darren Routier say this is
she got took a piece of string off of it. Look at him, he's happier than hell.
Appropriate for them and their family. Helium balloons instead of headstones.
There's Danelle. There's Dana. There's Beja right there.
Don't remember Devin.
I'm not sure who that little boy or little girl is.
And he would take away the paper and he was
That rock. You got a nugget, man.
on his cars. Just change them up from what they were before.
He and his 5-year-old brother Damon were stabbed to death. Their mother wounded by...
Look at that. She made sure be sure that gold's on. Be sure that's that one. That's that watch. Yep, that was out on the counter. $6
She
grand.
described as a white man wearing dark clothes. She was downstairs with the boys.
But no, Beja was tending to the baby. Now Darlie, you can tell that Darlie's got him right now because of the gold there. Let's see.
With infant son Drake. They were unharmed. The young mother says she feels...
Now, they don't. She doesn't have him, And he doesn't have him. Basil's got it.
Horrible, she did not wake up immediately when her children were attacked first.
All I was thinking about was trying to save the babies. I mean, Darren and I tried to save the babies, but...
Darren and I tried to save the babies. You know, it's kind of weird. There's a bit of dissociation here. Darren and I tried to save the babies. Why didn't she say their names? I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's just weird. It's like a disassociative type of thing.
It was too late. The babies were gone.
That's twice she did that. That does not look right. Tight-lipped. Lips tight together. Look that up, y'all. Look that up. Lips tight together.
But we tried. We tried, and we have to live with that
We tried. We tried.
forever.
That was weird how she said forever.
Bralette police are mum
The way
about
she
the
said
motive.
forever.
Our mum about the motive. Bralette police are mum about the...
We tried, and we have to live with that forever.
That look.
Bralette.
Okay, but back to...
On the silly string, singing along right with all the rest of them.
Nope, she was not singing along with the rest of them. She was over there, but she was babysitting. You know, the drunken, drug abusing, criminal record having, mental health case that had a lot of problems was what they trusted with their baby.
Yes, well, and the grandmother too. I mean, even the grandmother is laughing and smiling and joking.
Yeah, how dare she? She was laughing and smiling and joking. She wasn't in the house with the murder. She wasn't in the house. What? Yeah, fucking bitch. Standing right next to Darlie, laughing and smiling and joking. Hell's that woman think she is? Who the hell she thinks she is, by God?
You're talking about Helena?
No, I think it's Darlie's grandmother in the cemetery scene. You see Darlie with the silly string, and then I think the elderly lady is Darlie's grandmother.
But she's really been studying this case. And Rich is like, you really know your stuff.
That's Helena.
Oh, that's Helena. Okay.
Yeah, that's Helena. That's Barbara Javel's mother.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Darlie's grandmother. Okay.
You see, Helena, the Routiers hired Helena to, work at the house, wash clothes.
She'd only worked there maybe 4 days, I think.
Let's just do various things. And I'm sure she got recommended from Basha because Basha was working for Darren at Testneck.
Wow. Baja was also at the house doing stuff for him. Darlie had actually had housekeepers for 2 years. She had different people in and out of the house over there for 2 years.
And she didn't, you don't hear too much about Helena. I don't know if she's still alive or not. I don't know.
She went back to Poland.
If she's still alive, she's extremely up in age. I mean, Basha Javel, if I'm not mistaken, is 63. So if her mother, I think she's 63. I know I'm real close. So if her mother's still alive, she'd have to be well in her 80s. But I don't know. So let's see here. Oh yeah, Anna, there's no question about it. Darren knows a whole lot more than he says he knows. There's no question.
Why would you say to be respectful to the family and then do that? Why does the family allow you to do that? What the family says is Darren still supports Darlie. Why did they let you do that to the father of them children and come on your show after that, a family member? You always remind everybody to be respectful of Darlie and the family. You guys are trashing Darren. He's family. Those are his kids.
About that in my mind. So, but what gets me, a lot of people say, well, after the trial, some years after the trial, Darren, signs an affidavit about his involvement in talking to people about the insurance scam at the house and with the Jaguar and all that. And even Toby Shook said, well, then was he lying at the trial or is he lying now? Toby Shook's an idiot, but we're not going to...
Why would Toby Shook be an idiot? See, now, he's an upstanding, decorated attorney who's worked in both the prosecution and the defense, I believe, of Amber Geiger, who accidentally shot that man. She thought it was her apartment. And so why is he an idiot? What's your evidence of that? He's not. I'm not going to go into that because you have no evidence of that.
The thing is, I think Darren was trying to protect himself because he was involved in a lot of bad things.
Okay, a lot of bad things. You should be able to name one of them. I'll wait.
And a lot of shady people.
And a lot of shady people. A lot of bad things, a lot of shady people. Everybody but Darlie was shady. It was weird, she said. I can't believe I'm hearing this from grown people. I really can't believe this.
And I think he was afraid through investigation that things were going to get brought to the light. And I believe that's why he coached Darlie Lynn quite a bit.
Wow.
He statement affidavits that Darlie Lynn filled out, because they're a little bit inconsistent. I think she was being told what to say.
Wow. I'm just going to listen.
When Darlie Lynn was 26 years old, she's a pretty naive gal. And she'll even admit that. And she's scared to death. She didn't know what was going to happen. So...
I also think Basha should have been checked out way more. I mean, she really should have been looked into.
Why? Darren and Darlie had said nothing about Basha. And they know her. You don't.
She has a strong criminal history.
Okay, that's the second time I've heard that. That's the second time I've heard that. You have to present that shit.
The way she turned on Darlie,
She did not turn on Darlie. When you're sent a summons by the prosecution, especially of a huge, like the Dallas DA, you have to sit on that stand and you have to answer each and every question that they asked you accurately. That's the law. That's not turning on somebody. She didn't run to the prosecution. They came to her because they were so close. You make absolutely no sense whatsoever. If Darlie was your friend and she killed them babies and you knew she did it and you sat up there on the stand, you have to answer those questions by law. So what Beja did was follow the law. She probably didn't even want that summons. She told me she only answered the questions that she was asked. That's what she told me.
This made me think like she's trying to deflect onto Darlie because of her own culpability.
No, if she was trying to deflect onto Darlie, she would have just said she thought Darlie did it. She answered the questions in these things.
If you know what I mean, even psychologically, like she's starting to feel really guilty. So she's deflecting to Darlie because she wants, the focus off of her. And it's like, and when she was interviewed on the BryanSt.John program, she was crying and she was like, she sounded really unwell to me. Like there's something wrong here that should have been looked into. There's something really, really wrong.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Her friend Darlie left her $10,000 in her will.
Hey. If you watch that interview with Beja, it's the only interview she's ever done. And she had lots of people come to her asking to have an interview done. She even had David Chase. He did American Beauty and True Blood, Sopranos. and she turned him down. But she had been watching my videos, and she noticed that I put up a lot of videos about Devin and Damon only. You know, this little light of mine. So when I reached her, she knew who I was already, because she's watching the case, but she's looking for videos about Devin and Damon. You know, not so much the case. She loved them babies, and she knew that I was very fond. I don't no love there. You know, I don't use that word loosely, because I don't know them well enough. But I feel them. I feel their presence, you know. And she said the reason that she decided to do that interview with me, which the other ones would have paid her, and she knew I was going to record it. Yeah. She said the reason I chose to talk to you, yeah, we did. We talked about interviews and stuff. I think she did know I was recording it, is because of how I brought the boys up. And as we started talking about the boys, she did start crying. And she was unwell, because it was 20 years of, you know, missing those boys was coming up. And this idiot, that is stupid. I want to hear this again, because I know why she was crying. It was upsetting her to talk about Devin and Damon. She talked about how much she loved them. Now, if she's saying that she loves Devin and Damon so much, would you think she was a weirdo?
That she didn't know what was going to happen.
Mm.
So
I also think Basha should have been checked out way more. I mean, she really should have been looked into. She has a strong criminal history. The way she turned on Darlie, it almost made me think like she's trying to deflect onto Darlie because of her own culpability, if you know what I mean. Even psychologically.
Well, let's say Beja did it, right? But Darlie got arrested, right? You know, Beja didn't even tell all she knew. She didn't. She withheld.
Like she's starting to feel really guilty. So she's deflecting to Darlie because she wants, you know, the focus off of her and such.
The focus was never on her. The only persons that put focus on her are you guys. Law enforcement never put focus on her for that, because they weren't directed to her by Darlie and Darren. They were not directed to her at all, in any way, shape, or form.
And when she was interviewed on the BryanSt.John program, she was crying, and she was like, she sounded really unwell to me. You know, like there's something wrong here that should have been looked into. There's something really, really wrong. And I know Darlie considered her a friend. Darlie left her.
That is pure stupidity. The woman was upset because she was talking about two little boys that are dead now that she loved very much. That, Bathsheba, was pure, 100% unadulterated ignorance on your part.
$10,000 in her will, and Darlie said in an interview.
So, Darlie left $10,000 in her will to Beja. You know, the insane, drunken, cocaine addict, mental health, blah, 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 liar. Darlie's really don't know how to pick her friends. Did she leave Julie Clark $10,000? How about Melanie Waits? I'll wait.
That she felt very sorry for her because of her past. She was really messed up. And she and Darren wanted to help her because she was really very screwed up person and her criminal involvement.
They wanted to help her by paying her $5 an hour?
But the way she spoke to BryanSt.John, I thought, oh, wow, she's hiding something big.
Oh, my God.
Really big, because she's really upset. And it isn't just that she had maybe she had a drink or two, but it's way beyond that. She's really upset here, and this should have been.
She's very upset because she hadn't talked about Devin and Damon for 20 fucking years. Are you this ignorant? That's ignorance. I'm sorry. The context was it was bringing up feelings of love and hurt from her. Everybody who watched that could clearly see that. Look, she wouldn't have talked at all if she had something to hide. Especially since, you know, I'm studying this case so well.
And checked out. That's just my opinion.
Oh yeah, you know, that was one of the first things I noticed too. The first time I saw that interview, I'm like, boy, for somebody that had nothing to do with this, sure seems like they got a hell of a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot of guilt. Look, she knew Darlie was losing her fucking mind. The hell of a lot of guilt would be about the same as Dana leaving that fucking window open. She should have forced Darlie to get some help. They were talking about getting Darlie some help. And she didn't. She feels like she fell Devin and Damon type of stuff. That's what that is. Rich, that is... Rich, I know you're smarter than that. That is just pure ignorance to think like that. You are biased. Biased.
Maybe she knows what happened. You know, maybe
she probably has.
She knows that Darlie was. That she knew they'd been fighting all week. She said so. She told them that they knew something was going to happen in that house. She said that.
A good idea, because if she don't know.
And her having that connection with Glenn Myers makes me even more...
Glenn Myers is not even a factor in this case. You said he threatened her, but you have no evidence of that. And it wasn't spoken about in court. I don't know if this is ignorance or you guys just fucking love Darlie.
Or suspicion.
I dare any one of you to show where I'm wrong. Show where I'm wrong. Don't just talk about me. Come show where I'm wrong.
About the whole thing.
Yeah, there's something here.
Yeah, there's a lot of little strange connections like that. You know, I do believe that, you know, she did love those little boys. I do believe that. But, you know, a lot of things have gotten brought to the light.
If Darlie couldn't kill those babies because she loved them so much, then that would mean Beja couldn't kill those babies because she loved them so much. Richard? Think.
And she's pretty shady. So
you went from she loved those little boys to and she's pretty shady. You literally did that. Let's see.
A drink or two, but it's way beyond that. She's really upset here, and this should have been checked.
Yeah, she is really upset. Absolutely. She was crying for those babies. It was making me want to cry.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Oh yeah, you know, that was one of the first things I noticed too. The first time I saw that interview.
Now I think he says there's no doubt that she loves them boys.
Boy, for somebody that had nothing to do with this, sure seems like they got a hell of a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why she talked about it openly with a stranger for 3 hours.
That's what I think.
Maybe she knows what happened. You know, maybe she knows.
She probably has a good idea, because if she don't know.
Probably has a good idea. I have a good source, a really good source. I can't really say much. I don't know how much I want to say. Please, Rich. Take Stephen J. Cooper's case. Take it.
Having that connection with Glenn Myers makes me even more suspicious about the whole thing.
Yeah, there's something here.
Yeah, there's a lot of little strange connections like that. You know, I do believe that, you know, she did love those little boys. I do believe that. But, you know, a lot of things have gotten brought to the light, and she's pretty shady.
Okay, so remember, this video is like 3 years old. They don't talk about none of this anymore. None of it. And they were on something here, wasn't they? But they don't talk about none of this no more. None of it.
Maybe not now. I mean, I don't know. She doesn't live that far from me. I've actually thought about
She lives in Garland.
Looking her up, but
I've actually thought about, now if I do that, let's say I said on here, well, Danelle don't live that far from me. I actually thought about looking her up. because she's part of the case. Let's see what he says.
I think the BryanSt.John interview scared her off because she pretty much.
No, the BryanSt.John interview did not scare her off, and we were going to do another one. And I was talking to her on Facebook, and the people, the Darlie supporters, like I believe it was Tracy Monet and Tracy Hogan and some other ones got on there like, how dare you get up there and blah blah blah, and she didn't want to talk about it no more. That's what happened. I lost contact with her because of the Darlie supporters, because she was telling the truth, and they knew it. If she was telling lies, just let her stay out there and catch her in the lies. That's why I encourage Darlie supporters to come to me, because I'll catch you, like I've been doing in this.
Won't talk to anybody now. Because I guess when BryanSt.John, he told me that when he did that interview with her, that after the interview, a supporter, I guess, was bashing her or something along those lines.
No, a bunch of supporters.
Pulled her up or something, and now she won't talk to anybody.
Yep.
But I don't know if she knew that interview was going to be put public either. I don't know if BryanSt.John told her that or not.
Yeah, I talked to her on Facebook for a couple weeks and told her I'd like to interview her. And I had to work her up to get her to do it. And she understood that I had a YouTube channel because she watched my YouTube. And she knew that I wanted to interview her. So, and then she was the one that told me, oh, even David Chase, I turned him down. She said, people want to interview me all the time. She said, but I'm gonna let you do it. And that's right in there on there. So she knew. She knew it was going to go live.
So,
Cyrilda didn't know I was going to interview her, though.
Yeah, I don't know. So, now Donna D did ask.
Now, the thing with Cyrilda is she offered to call me. It was late. And she said, well, I'll call you. Let's talk about it. I'll call you, right? And I said, okay. So, she didn't know it was an interview, but she called me, and I got Darren's mom on, and I said, I'm in this case. Goddamn, I'm going to record that. Everybody. It was a good interview. Cyrilda's a sweetheart.
Who this woman was. Basha Javel had known Darlie Lynn and Darren for years.
Since 87.
And she was actually in their wedding. And she, later on down the road, she actually worked for Darren at Tessneck. And she frequented the house. And Basha Javel's mother also worked for the Routiers at their house as kind of like a housekeeper, if you will. But it was for a very brief period of time.
4 days.
Tara, we got a lot of viewers in here.
Well, thank you today. I noticed that.
Yeah, it's...
trying to read everyone's comments.
Yeah, definitely. And Anna asked, Rich, do you think Dare orchestrated the murders? No, I don't think he orchestrated it. I talked to somebody. I've never talked to Mr. Routier, but I have talked to people that know him well. And what I've been told is that he's like he's a passive individual. He's not one for argument. He's just a very passive, easygoing kind of guy. And I got that from a very good source.
Right, so that would mean he doesn't like conflict, and usually people who don't like conflict inflict.
And but he had a shady side to him though too. He really did.
Why are you disrespecting him when you told everyone don't disrespect the family?
He was living life dangerously. But
How? Was he living life dangerously at medieval times with Devin and Damon having a good time?
I don't believe that he orchestrated it, no. But I do believe that it's his fault.
Wow. So, if it was his fault, Rich, if it was his fault, it would be based on those multiple people that he asked to rob his home, right? Is Darlie Key and Dana and all them, are they smart enough to not, why don't they press him? Somebody answer that.
That's probably the best way I can describe it without getting too deep into it. I know one thing.
Jane says Barbara Jovel was a traitor. Darlie was nothing but kind to her. Jane, no, she was summoned by the state of Texas.
Do you think he put out the word thing, not about killing them, but maybe about the insurance on the house, the stuff in the house or something like that?
Yeah, it was his shady dealings is what caused it.
Yeah, what are you talking about? All right, look.
I don't think he had anything to do with it. I don't think he had
so they're basing it, I don't want to hear no more of this shit. They're basing it on this fucking shit right here. This is all their shadiness, right? And the reason that this little few paragraphs is written up, and then the one with Robbie Key, is so you can get people like this right here. They're doing this. That's why. That's why they did it. That's exactly why they did it. He didn't ask nobody. He didn't ask nobody, in my opinion. None. Them affidavits are fucking lies right there. That's a lie. And look at this testimony. That's crazy. That is crazy. I can't believe I just sat through that. That's craziness, man. I don't want to be too insultive to him. Goddamn. Bunch of clowns. No wonder you don't let me up there. I debunked every fucking thing you said. Easily. Speculation. Assumptions. Character assassination. If Barry Fife is shady, show us how he's shady. Convince me that he had something to do with it. Show me about Beige's background. Show it to me. You just keep saying she's got it. Show me this criminal record. Show it. This 2 hours that you're going to look back on is why you motherfuckers don't like me. Just like Trump says. They're not coming after me. They're coming after you. But I'm just standing in the way. That's what I'm doing. I'm standing in the way of your fucking bullshit. Every bit of that I heard was bullshit. Every bit. You should be fucking embarrassed. Rich, had I known that... but I like you, dude, but no, that's fucked up. You're thinking with some other part of your body, in my opinion.